Let's take a little twirl around the rink with a morning skate edition of the Inside Edge. Here are your hosts, Bob McElligott and Jody Shelley.
We are at PNC Arena here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Today, the Blue Jackets and the Carolina Hurricanes are getting together. I'm Bob McElligott alongside of Jody Shelley, and this is the morning skate edition of the Inside Edge. Well, these two teams have both been pretty hot in the Metropolitan Division. The Blue Jackets, of course, had their 8-game winning streak snapped at the hands of the Buffalo Sabres on Saturday. But, Jody, this Carolina Hurricanes team has won 3 in a row, and they were hot the last time they met the Blue Jackets. They had won 5 in a row before the Blue Jackets beat them as part of their own streak. But this Carolina team, they look hungry, they're energetic this morning, and they're playing on home ice tonight.
Yeah, it's amazing. We saw it with the Blue Jackets for the last little period here where they were winning, and the jump and the amount of confidence that you can feel in the building, even in a pregame skate. I know coaches don't put much emphasis on it, but they look like a confident team out there, and I think the Blue Jackets do too. I mean, they had a tough loss the other night against the Buffalo Sabres, kind of uncharacteristic game for them at home. But it's time to hit the reset button on that game and then come in here and take. This Carolina team is part of that group that's directly on the heels of the Columbus Blue Jackets. So, just 1 point behind the Jackets here. They're 23-19-9. The Blue Jackets are 26-21-4. So, big game here tonight. The Jackets know it, and should be fun atmosphere in Carolina.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think the last time the Blue Jackets were here right before Christmas, it was directly the opposite here, where the Blue Jackets were only a point or 2 points behind the Carolina Hurricanes. They were trying to catch them in the standings, so this is going to be interesting. But this is a team I know you've said before that you like the makeup of this team the last time we were in here. And it's a team that when these two teams played here last time, the Blue Jackets had a rally in the third period. They got 2 quick goals in the third period to come back and get the victory right before the Christmas break. So it's not going to be easy playing in here tonight.
Well, it never is. Their goaltending is always a great story here. They always, it's been Cam Ward for a long time, but now this Kudobin has come in and just been hot. Peters has been good when he's been in there. That's a real good story. And then you look at some of the young guys they have. They got some good young players. They picked up young Gerby from Buffalo, who's been a real bright spot on their team. Semin has stepped up since his, he's been left off that Olympic team for Russia, but since been put back on. And there's always, of course, and there's the guys we know, Hainsey and Manny Malhotra. But no, there's some great young players. They're fast. And they're always hard to play against. So the Blue Jackets got to be careful here tonight and really put their stamp on the game early.
I think this is going to be an interesting game for the Blue Jackets. This is going to be one of those you'll find out what they're made of kind of games here tonight, because you win 8 in a row and everything's great for a 2.5-week period, and now you suffer that first setback against a team that you would have beaten on paper, but you had to play them on the ice, and you didn't perform very well. So I think this is a game that will be very telling about the character of this team. Would you agree with that?
I think you're right. I mean, it's there's been lessons throughout the year, and I think that the Blue Jackets have responded and actually learned from them pretty well. There's lessons and wins, too, and I think Todd Richards has had to make sure he stepped on some of the things. There's been bad habits throughout every game, but sometimes you get the win, and that gets masked over. But I think Todd has done a good job of stepping on those problems and trying to still grow every game. The Blue Jackets are in a situation here. The last game they played with 5D. They had to rotate through. The pairs weren't the same. Guys had way more minutes than they're used to. Now you look at Cody Gobeloff is up. They've just called up Tim Erickson. He's on his way here from the airport. Savard will not play, I guess. So we'll have to call Jeff Rimmer in here. He's got the scoops and the inside scoop. He'll let us know for sure on that. And there will be, it looks like they've activated Blake Como off the IR. So different guys will be going in. They'll be looking for some kind of boost here because, there's it'll be a character test for sure here.
I was going to ask you about that 5 defenseman situation, not to use it as an excuse for that loss the other night, but as you said, the pairings, not only were the pairings not the same, there weren't even really pairings because you just had to roll guys through, and you might play with Jack Johnson one time and Feder Tootin the next time. It just is the way that it worked out when it came to the minutes. So there was a lack of consistency there. Put it this way, it's not an excuse for losing the game, but it was, to me, it was a contributing factor that you didn't have that same solid play that you've had there for the 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, no question. You get double shifted, too. So you're used to rolling out 3 sets of pairs. Instead, you got to go 2 guys, and then you got to bring a guy that's just been on the ice and had a quick rest on the ice. And I look at a couple numbers here for defensemen, and the one that jumps out right away is Feder Tootin. He played he played 17 minutes against Philadelphia, and then he played 21 and a half against Buffalo. That's quick example of a quick 4 minutes for him. He picked up 4.5 minutes. That has to affect him. And we spoke with Ryan Murray after the first period. He said, yeah, it was a difficult period just to get adjusted with playing double shift. Not necessarily the clientele, but just going out there more frequently. So they adapted. He played 22, almost 23 minutes, whereas the game before he played 16. So those things you got to adjust to. So maybe the Jackets defense will settle down tonight. Maybe we'll ask them to in between once we get a chance to go in the locker room. But maybe they'll settle down and be able to just play their comfortable minutes and not out there all the time.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jeff Rimmer sitting right here with us. And Jeff, even whoever you put on the blue line tonight, whether it's Golubev, who hasn't been up here all year, or Tim Erickson, who has been up here and hasn't played in very many games this year, you're going to be missing David Savard. And, again, he's one of them. When you look back at the year and say, well, what's maybe the most surprising story? I think David Savard, he gets into that conversation because this was a guy that wasn't necessarily in the top 6 coming out of training camp. And now here we are sitting here saying, well, I wish David Savard was healthy and he wasn't ill and he could play here tonight.
No question. They've missed David Savard, who's certainly improved his foot speed. He's become a better defenseman. And if you recall early on in the season, as you said, he wasn't in the top 6. Boy, he wasn't even dressed for several games consecutively. He didn't even get a chance to play. He's not with the team on the trip. He has a similar illness to what Fedor Tutin went through last week. And the Jackets called up Erickson simply because they did not want to be caught short. It was difficult the other night, as you gentlemen point out, playing with 5 defensemen, and the Jackets don't want to be caught, again, short. This is the time of the year when obviously there's illnesses and the flu and that kind of thing, and it goes through the team, and you don't want to be in a situation where, again, you're down to 5 defensemen or perhaps even 4. So the Jackets will certainly make a choice here after the morning skate, and as you point out, Bob, either Golubev or Erickson will play. I would think that Golubev will get a look tonight simply because you could have that left-right combination and he could play with Nikitin, but we'll certainly see as the day goes on. By the way, I really want to commend Jody, Shelley. On a previous episode here of The Inside Edge, I strongly suggested that he cut the cord, and he was able to do it here in Carolina, and he's now 100% Columbus Blue Jackets through and through.
Wait a second. I had one cord I needed to cut, and you've got about 19. Every rink we go into, you're like, oh, my buddy. I know so-and-so, the GM. So you got to start cutting a couple of those.
Well, you got to remember, it's just a simple fact that I've worked in all these cities. I've been around the league since the National Hockey League was formed, and I just have a lot of friends in different cities.
Good point. A lot of history with you, Jeff Rimmer.
Is that all you had for him today?
It was just the cut the cord comment, and obviously after making it here to Carolina, I've now seen he's taken my lead, and he has cut the cord. We're certainly evident of that last night.
Well, I don't know. He might be down there talking to Ron Hainsey pretty extensively in a couple of minutes, so maybe it's just a thinner cord.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is Ron Hainsey was already here. He's been waving up at us here. It's a different situation. He was a teammate here, but that Philadelphia thing is, I think, a thing of the past, and we're all looking forward.
Hey, Jody, one more thing I want to ask you about. You mentioned Blake Como coming off the IR. What does he bring? If he gets back in the lineup here tonight, which I would expect that he would, but what does he bring to this team that maybe it's hard to say they've been lacking because they've been playing so well, but what does he bring back to the team?
Well, let me tell you, he's a guy that can score. He's a guy that is not playing that role necessarily on this team, but he's a banger. I mean, he can hit, and the other team knows that he's in the lineup. I tell you, when you're a player in the dressing room, the last thing guys go over is keep your head up in the neutral zone because so-and-so used to be 2-2 is going to look for a hit. And this team, it's Blake Como. He's a big hitter. He has a hit almost every shift, and if not, he's a threat to hit. So guys with the puck know he's out there. They'll be extra aware when he's on the ice. That's a nice element to add. Plus, he gets in the gritty areas. He's not afraid to pay the price in front of the net, and he knows how to score.
Well, the Blue Jackets and the Carolina Hurricanes getting together tonight. Oh, one more thing I just wanted to mention when Jeff talked about maybe Cody Golubev goes into the lineup tonight. By the way, he's been selected as an American Hockey League All-Star, so he's having a good season in Springfield. And in the American Hockey League, they put together one team, and they're going to play a European team. So it's not like they're putting together two teams in the AHL. You have to be one of the elites to make that roster, and Cody Golubev has done that. Do you like that format for an All-Star game?
I think it's probably better than what we have because when you have two teams playing, certainly we see it in the National Hockey League, although we'll have the All-Star game, of course, in Columbus next year. But I just think it'll be more engaging when you have one team, plus you're having the better players on the one side taking on the Europeans. I also think in Goluboff's case here, and why, again, I give him the edge tonight to play. I could be wrong. I have been wrong before. But I think you have a situation here where he deserves an opportunity to play at the NHL level. Here's a guy that was a little higher on the Blue Jackets depth chart a few years ago, but Savard and Prout have passed him, and still the Jackets have a high regard for him. So here's an opportunity for him to play here in Carolina in what is a big game, a huge game for the Blue Jackets, because, quite frankly, they lose tonight, they fall out of third place. And you have Carolina with the identical number of games played as the Blue Jackets. This team has won 3 in a row. Very, very loose here at the morning skate, as Jody alluded to. You can't judge by a morning skate, but boy, this seems like a pretty happy group in comparison to what we saw in the 2 previous skates in the 2 games that we played them.
Yeah, so we'll get a pretty good indication of who's going to be in and out of the lineup tonight for the Blue Jackets once they take the ice, as the Carolina Hurricanes morning skate is going to be wrapping up here shortly. And, of course, you can find out all of the scoop right here at BlueJackets.com all day long. For Jody Shelley and Jeff Rimmer, I'm Bob McElligott. Tonight's game getting underway at 7 o'clock. Jeff will be on TV on Fox Sports Ohio. Jody and I will be on the Blue Jackets Radio Network. And that'll put the wraps on this morning skate edition of the Inside Edge.
You've been listening to the morning skate edition of the Inside Edge. Come back every game day to get the breakdown from Bob McElligott and Jody Shelley.